What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Block Sauce, your weekly web show that serves up the juiciest discussions in the world of Web3 and gaming culture. Today, we've got Disney, we've got Ubisoft, G7 DAO's report, or Game 7 State of the Web3 Insights. We also are going to discuss some studio layoffs and possibly more, so stick around and stay tuned. Kind of changing this intro up just a little bit. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host and ReNFT ambassador, Jim Kieran. And today we've got Graslow, Sinjin, and Dub with us on the panel. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Fantastic.
Are you guys ready to jump into it? We just want to jump into it?
Let's do it.
That was the briefest I'm good I think I've had on the panel yet. So, Dub, I think you're muted.
Dang it! Guys, sorry. I just wanted to quickly share some exciting news on my end. I have moved on and I am working at Shrapnel now, leading community over there. Really happy to do it. Thanks, guys. And I truly feel like everything I've done in Web3 is like leading up to what I'm about to do here, and I'm really excited for the things we're going to do at Shrapnel.
That is phenomenal. I'm glad that they're pulling some gamers onto their team. I mean, I'm sure they got plenty as it is, but in our space, you're definitely one of the notable gamers. So I think this is going to be really beneficial for them. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with them for sure. Does that mean that you're the guy I need to talk to now for Shrapnel, communications? Like, are you my in?
Dude, my DMs are freaking flooded. No, stop hitting me up. I'm not your merch hookup. I'm not the guy. I mean, maybe I will. I should.
Look, I'll pay for merch. I'm not looking for a hookup, but I'll pay for merch.
We got so many more. We're gonna focus on delivering a quality game and everything before we we go back into restocking the merch, I think.
Now, I know we talked about, it's not on today's list to talk about Shrapnel, but if you guys are watching right now, let me know what you're most excited for from Shrapnel. There's been a lot of gameplay trailers. We saw Dub and a few other content creators releasing a little bit last week after their playtest. So let me know what you're excited for, because Dub mentioned it in the space right before the show, actually. The Sigma jumps look sick. So looking forward to seeing how this plays out. I'm excited. I want to quit Call of Duty. I think this is going to be it. I'm telling you guys, I want to quit. I want to, but the gunplay and everything is just too good. So as soon as I find a Web3 game that can convince me to stick with it, I had one, but we're not going to talk about them. So, first topic of the day, we got Disney launching their pins on Pinnacle, which is a platform, I believe, partnered with Dapper Labs or from Dapper Labs, if I understand correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So to me, look, guys, I want to hear Dub's opinion, because we did discuss this briefly before we went live. To me, it's not really that big of a deal until I see what these are going to actually provide me as a purchaser. And the reason I say this is the physical pins, they have a value, and that stems from the fact that they are scarce. I can't just go buy one. They're given out by staff at the Disneyland locations. Now we have this digital collectible I can just go buy. Yes, there's a limited number of them still, but if it's just buying a JPEG,
Oh, come on, man. This is the transition. This is what it's all about. I mean, this is
give me a discount to Disneyland.
This is Disney taking a core piece of their marketing campaign activations, the things that their community does, and putting it on chain. And knowing the way companies are going about this, they are going to try to recreate the same things that you said was great about the physical pins. Limited, scarce availability, have to go do something cool to go get it. Like, imagine if there was like a digital collectible pin for going to the opening of Little Mermaid or what have you. Like, there's the sky's the window, and they're opening up this loyalty play that really I'm looking forward to seeing and seeing how it happens. And like, now pins are going to be more accessible, because at the end of the day, physical pins are getting traded in this black market that exists of Disney pin collecting. I'd love to see it, but like now it can be front and facing and be supported and be promoted by Disney at the same time. And this just unlocks a ton of new stuff for them to do.
I find the timing really interesting, and I have so many questions about like the inner thinking there, because we're not seeing big brands do NFT projects today, and already we kind of see like this headline in the Web3 media. It's like, we're back, this is great, but in the Web2 media, it's already a failure before it launches because it has to do with NFTs. You almost think that there was an argument, why don't we do this as a digital collectible and have nothing to do with blockchain? Launch it as an app or whatever. So I'm wondering, like, is this a bet on the future of like NFTs coming back and having this real utility? Or is this, like we saw in the bull market, we saw an argument from some companies of, hey, let's go grab some of this liquidity, let's capture some of this market that's already there. But if anyone's going to do it, Dapper Labs, like they were famous for NBA Top Shot. They onboarded probably more people to Web3 than anyone has done to date. And say what you will about what they've done since then, but their initial foray was really well done. So if this is another Top Shot, I think it could be amazing.
Yeah, and that's where my initial kind of concern came from. Was I was a customer of those products that were between Top Shot and now, and I am highly disappointed as a customer. So I hope to see them do a better job, and I imagine they will be, because they have a lot more on the line when it comes to Disney and pins.
Okay, so real quick, guys, I just realized, because Dub's announcement kind of threw me off. I forgot to make my announcement. Grazlo is now an official part of our rotating panel here on the Block Sauce, by the way, guys.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I love to have. Grazlo is one of my favorite developers in the space. He always hosts his own Twitter space after Gamified. I just really enjoy hearing the really straight talk without the profanity that I have myself.
Until I jump up on there, then sometimes there's a couple of French words that might slip out.
I'm a longtime viewer of the Block Sauce, so I'm honored to share the stage with such esteemed panelists. Thank you for having me.
We are glad
to have you. For you to be here.
Yeah, it dawned on me because I'm watching the chat. By the way, we are watching the chat, guys. So Robert says, "What's up?" So hi, Robert or Romert. Sorry, I'm Robert. It's hard. Anyway, and then Rod said, "Welcome to the fam, Grazlo." So that reminded me. I was like, "Oh crap, we were supposed to announce Grazlo at the start, not Dub." Dub stole your spotlight.
Man, you Dub, you get too much love.
I know, dude. Honestly, it feels like that sometimes, and super stoked to have Grazlo on here, especially because that means as I get way more busy, I can take some time away from the show and be a viewer, right?
I told that to Ron this morning. We were trying to give you guys, some weeks off, so that way not everybody has to be here every week except me. So I hope you guys get some rest, find other opportunities in your downtime. But we appreciate all the time that all of you guys have put into this show with us so far. We're going to keep building it. We're going to keep bringing whatever we can find to spice things up.
Can we hear some of Grazlo's background and what he's working on real quick? Not as a plug. I mean, the man never shills himself anyways.
No, shill us. Do it.
Well, I'm sure
Jorge's not here, so somebody's got to.
I mean, we know, but for the audience out there.
So yeah, I don't really show myself, but I think a lot of people know me as the Oldor guy. Like we are building a we say it as like a Souls-like MMORPG, which is very ambitious, but we're doing so with these vertical slices that we're going to iterate off of. So we already have a playable version out now, which is Oldor Dread Arena. It's on Hyperplay, Elixir, and Sedona game launchers. But yeah, we're kind of telling the vision. Free. Yeah, free to play, no NFT required or anything like that. But we're kind of sharing the vision that we have for this, massive open world, showing off some teasers and that open world gameplay. But the next thing we're looking forward to, we are going to have a big update coming soon. But the next thing after that is going to be our PvP first quarter of next year.
And I'm going to give Oldor a huge shout out here because they sponsored my charity stream the other weekend and put $200 towards helping sick kids. So Oldor's out there helping us raise money for good causes. Let's go. And the support that they have for creators, dude, every time I've played or streamed Oldor, I'm pretty sure Graslow or somebody from the Oldor team has been there. They're retweeting, they're liking, they're doing everything right by me. So love you guys. Thank you.
Seriously, you guys have been amazing. Like, you were a big part of my creator journey too, and like, I'm forever thankful for that.
This has turned into a praise Oldor space.
Graslow, I feel there is still integrity in this space.
Oh man.
There's this like
for now. Just wait, baby.
I'm just trying not to be a gutless wank. That's my life's goal.
You never will be.
Oh man. So did anybody have anything else on Disney? I think Dub did sum it up pretty good. I think there's a lot of factors that are going to play into this. Disney fanatics, they're going to eat it up. I've seen Disney fanatics, and trust me, it doesn't matter whether it's an NFT, a plushie, a pin. If it says Disney on it, they're going to buy it. So I think this is going to go well.
Yeah. I mean, it all comes down to it's super interesting to see how they play. Do they push speculation and number go up? Do they do limited edition where like
we need more info?
I really hope they cook and do a bunch of tests and things, because this is just going to give more cases, more examples to everyone else that's watching Disney that, you know, is like halfway through doing this, like companies like Samsung or what have you.
And we've seen collectibles, like I don't think anybody's done it well, but we've seen, you know, companies try to do collectibles in the space and not do well, like Nifty's, which I was a big fan of and put a lot of, you know, investment in, but they had Warner Brothers stuff, they had, you know, Space Jam, Looney Tunes, Paramount, a number of big brands, and just didn't go anywhere. Now Vivi, you know, they've been around, but I'm just really curious, like how they're going to bring in new users and new liquidity, because if you continue to put out new merchandise, you know, it needs to have some like burning or you know, the liquidity needs to go somewhere, or you have to be bringing in constant new demand. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that goes.
I think they're going to fumble really hard on something. Like they're going to trip hell hard on. I mean, like I think back on the the Lord of the Rings DVD experience that was sold as an NFT, like that thing. Fuck, I still have that. I wonder. I don't even know.
Look, if I could start buying movies via NFTs, I'm all for it. I know that there are collectors out there. They love their physical mediums. I do love buying physical collector's editions, but whenever I just want to buy the movie, digital every single time, unless I have to have the collector's edition. So I think that there's definitely a market there that maybe Disney could be the first to tap into. I am aware of the Disney Plus subscribers have been dwindling, and apparently it's causing them to go in the red with the Disney Plus service. So they're already starting to license their content over to Netflix for those that aren't familiar with it. So we're going to start seeing some of that Disney Plus content come back to Netflix, because for those that don't remember, it actually used to be on Netflix originally. So I don't know. I think that would be a good medium for them. We'll see how they handle this, what they do moving forward. So unless anybody's got anything else to add, we can jump into the next one, because the next one kind of caught me off guard.
Put a pin in the pin topic.
Oh, all right. I got you. Dad jokes already. So the next one is actually Ubisoft partnering with Immutable. And the reason this one kind of got me off guard is earlier this year, they announced that they were building their first game and it was launching on Oasis. So do you guys think they're going multi-chain? Do you think that they pivoted because nobody's really talking about or using Oasis? Like, what do you think is going on with this?
Hey, but you know, I got some information when I was on Gamified, and one of the posters commenters said, I hope it wasn't Graslow, but that the Ubisoft division of like innovation, whatever like that, basically partners with any small kind of project or whatever. It's really their kind of fringe division. It's not anything significant at all, right?
So you mean status quo for Web3 then, right?
Yeah.
Well, not status quo. I mean, there have been a lot of big announcements that have kind of fallen flat, and nothing has really gotten done. I mean, Immutable with GameStop, and that was a huge announcement. And then GameStop basically dumped all their fucking tokens on the market right away, and
ditch their wallet.
Yeah, and just fuck the entire.
Shit, I still have that thing too.
Ecosystem.
God damn it.
And so it's a small step. I don't think it's a big deal at all. But Ubisoft obviously has an ambition for Web3.
Mm-hmm.
But I think right now, it's pretty much on the shelf. I don't think this is a really significant anything.
So this is a reach. But we have to think about the timing of the announcement, right? This announcement and this partnership was just announced right after they said that they are going to be moving the Rainbow Six Siege marketplace towards something more resembling CSGO. Could this be possibly a move towards bringing Web3 to the Rainbow Six Siege?
Yeah, that's a reach, man. Especially
I know.
Rainbow
It's
Six
dreaming,
guys who are like in it. They must hate like NFTs, like.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, think of the most hate group out there, and that's like this demographic for NFTs.
Like they wake up, think about it, and then just get this growl in their face. And this is their fucking morning, dude. And it's
so they think anyone that even like talks about crypto must be a gutless wink on their view,
Yeah, I'm just
saying. If you're Ubisoft, it makes sense to kind of like nibble in Web3, like to have put some small IP, that you don't care too much about over there and see how it does. And maybe if it, shows some real promise, then you could actually do something more serious or integrate a bigger title. But I this is kind of a recurring theme for me. I think I'm really curious, what is their motivation? Like, are they thinking like, okay, if bull market comes back, we want to capture that Web3 liquidity with a game? Because we saw the stuff happening in Web3 and it was all crap. It's like pixel games that, not to diss pixel games, but it's games that didn't have fun game loops, but people were playing it because it's like button click DeFi, and we can make a better game than that. We can extract all that value for some tiny IP, minimal investment, and we make bank. Or is it, we see the potential of Web3, let's get some of our users over there and start making more money? I think it's probably more the former. That's why I'm skeptical of Web2 studios announcing Web3 initiatives, because I think it's probably like, hey, let's go extract some of that liquidity that we see on the news. Some high level NFT, some high priced NFT sales, and it's like we could capture some of that.
Look, I'm just saying they're changing up the Rainbow Six Siege market and the economy. They got X Defiant in the pipelines, which they've had to delay multiple times. These are two games that they have an opportunity right here to start, getting those Web3 integrations into a AAA game. So,
sorry, I misheard you. They have an opportunity to fuck those franchises by using NFTs. Is that what you just said?
Oh no, they fucked those franchises a long time ago. That's not a concern at this point. At this point, it's how far down can they dig. And I want them to dig, honestly, because even if those communities get mad, at that point, those communities have two options: quit playing the game or get involved with Web3. Now, I'm not about forcing Web3 involvement. I do think it should be optional, but a AAA studio that has a chance to onboard their users right now against their will, essentially, it's a good opportunity for them. I'm just saying. Now,
I've spoken like a true Web3 degen. Welcome to the club.
Like I said, I'm not about forcing Web3, but Ubisoft is one of those companies that if they can, they will. Ubisoft they've shown time and time again, they don't really care about the players. They care about making money. And if they have an opportunity, they're going to make money. And I think that's why we're going to see the shift with the Rainbow Six Siege marketplace, is because now it's going to encourage player trading and stuff like that. And obviously they're going to have fees, and it's another money tactic. So I don't know. We'll see. Ubisoft hasn't put out anything I've enjoyed in years, if I'm being honest, because Assassin's Creed all felt the same. Tom Clancy games were probably their best bet, but look what they did with the Division 2. Ubisoft is kind of a meme at this point, it feels like. But X Defiant, when I played the beta, did actually have fun. which is weird because I'm very picky about my FPSs, which is why I've stuck to Call of Duty for so long. So I'm hoping X Defiant can really swing them around and help them gain player favor. But right now, I think that a lot of people are upset with Ubisoft to begin with. So if they force it, they don't force it, I think it's going to go either way for them. Same result. People not happy. But we'll see. Anybody else? Anything on Ubisoft?
I think you fully killed that topic at this point. There's no point to talk about it further.
Best of luck to him, man.
Exactly.
Good luck, boys.
So we also have G7 DAO released their State of Web3 Gaming Insights. It was a very in-depth look at the current state of things. I'm not going to lie, like I did not read the full report. Thankfully, if you're following the Block Sauce on Twitter, they did release a thread discussing the top 7 points that they felt were noteworthy. So did anybody get a chance to look at those before we started?
I did just read the whole report.
Oh, you read the whole report?
Yeah, Scout's Honor, I read it.
Oh my God.
I didn't even like the tweet. I'm sorry.
Look at this. Dub gets all the love, and now he's just giving out hate.
I'm busy. I'm adjusting to a new role, man.
I get it, Dub.
I and Mighty Dub, now with Shrapnel, all us little peons, just trying to get a little bit of adoration here and there.
Well, the first point was Asian Pacific's role in game development. APAC is leading Web3 development with 40% of the teams, followed by North America's 30%. Notably, South Korea is on track to be the Web3 gaming capital of the world. No surprises there. I don't think anybody here probably has anything to add. We've had multiple spaces talking about how the East is probably going to lead the charge, and we expected that the Asian markets are going to be, the most popping. So,
and really, I think there's two competing reasons for that. One is the NFT hate in the West, but also regulation. If early on it was kind of favored to be a U.S. registered company because you had all these legal protections, and now it's like, well, we want you to be elsewhere because you have all these legal restrictions.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's a matter that in the U.S. that the guidelines actually are not set, and it creates this huge ambiguity. Whereas I'll give you an example. In China and Korea, the guidelines are very clear that no, you can't do it, right? Like in Korea, I think 2018 or so, token issuances are not allowed, right? So many of these studios open up subsidiaries in Singapore and have been working from there. And I'm not sure about how the Chinese have set it all up, but with these restrictions, because they're a lot clearer, there are other pathways that do have a legal way to go forward. Whereas in the U.S., the ambiguity is you're not sure what to be doing, right, or where the line is. And obviously the SEC decides where that line is fairly consistently, but on their terms, right? So what I mean by that is we may not know, what exactly those terms are, but whether they decide it on the fly or whatever, then they apply it pretty strictly after the fact, right? Or at least the developer side of it. So, that I think that's hindering things a lot in terms of, US-based developer, I guess, motivations and, way forwards and so on and so forth.
Well, interestingly enough, even though those markets are leading, when it comes to funding, however, the U.S. is actually leading the charge. This is kind of mind-boggling. Based on the data, this data is as of October 15th, mind you. The U.S. has funded $4.2 billion into the Web3 gaming industry, followed in second place by France with 0.92. So we're seeing almost 4 times the investment come from the U.S., even though the regulations and everything are unclear. So that's kind of interesting.
And that could be the reason why the SEC is so heavy-handed as well.
There we go. They saw the money going out. They're like, well, how do we bring money in? Let's see. AAA Web3 games. This is point number 3. Most of the Web3 gaming market is indie and mid-size. The big budget AAA games are still a bit more rare in the space. RPG, action strategy, and casual are the most developed games. I see that. I could easily see that. Party games, definitely, you look at Mario Party, everybody loves it. So there's definitely a market for the casual gamers. RPGs, I mean, Web3 use cases just seem to fit RPGs the best, in my opinion. So I think that that's kind of to be expected. Now, action and strategy, I'm assuming strategy probably entails like the TCGs and auto battlers and stuff like that. So I can also see that one. But action games, is that FPS? That's my question, because there's no FPS listed here, and I figured that'd be at the top of the list too.
I bet you that includes that. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and
When I
there's
think-
no
when I think of
brawlers
action
and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So-
I think like Smash Bros. Or like Street Fighter type of games would fall under action as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be, genre-wise, a little bit odd to have FPS and those type of games slotted together.
But by percentile, indie and mid-size make up 82% of Web3 games right now. So if you're looking for a AAA game, you're going to be looking for a needle in a haystack, it sounds like. Although we can definitely mention Shrapnel. I think this is a time to promo.
Your favorite extraction shooter coming your way soon.
I
can't
didn't
wait.
see, like, even though, how many AAA games there are in development and how much funding they've actually gotten, like on a kind of relative basis. And I'm sure that's, quite a bit higher. I think everyone's looking at like a true AAA game, possibly in Web3, also has a very strong team behind it from a Web2 background, which makes them far more investable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Than, a mid-tier or whatever. I mean, I have, my team is AAA too. We're not making a AAA game, right? But, that's, I'm my studio head and my senior producer. But, these other teams, I would assume like Shrapnel have like 5, 6, 7 guys who are, of that same caliber and background, right? So,
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And in my experience, like from playing all of the games the past like 2 years, it was like it always felt like a 10-1 or like a 20-1 in that like indie availability to AAA availability.
Yep.
Yeah, most studios don't start AAA, and because AAA studios don't want to like risk their IP or their reputation in Web3, you're seeing a lot of new studios, and some of those are formed by AAA devs and AAA execs that are forming studios, but they're not going to get the funding to be able to make a AAA game right off the bat. So I think we'll see a lot of, and it just makes sense from an investment and a developer point of view. Take a small risk first, prove that out. Maybe some of these games become AAA over time, or maybe some of the studios become AAA.
but if you look at crypto Web3 Twitter, I mean, when you look at that, I think like 80% of them would build themselves as AAA anyways, regardless of their funding size or whatever. But the reality is as well is like even the AAA games that are being produced in Web3, I don't think they're funded even close to enough to complete the games that they've already started, right?
Mhm.
20 million Shrapnel, I think they closed recently. I don't remember what their fund was before, but you look at Parallel, which is in some ways, it's hard to put it as a AAA, but they're up there in terms of quality. I mean, they were funded 50 million, right? And I think that's within their scope. And that's a great runway and budget for them because of the TCG as well as their AI kind of. I don't know how you would define their genre for that game. SimCity AI something.
They call it like player 1.5 experience is what they've been branding it as.
Cool, nevertheless.
Yep.
And
I'm down
I
to
love
try
my
it.
boy Koji.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying that one when it drops. So the other points that were made, which I don't think is going to stand out too much, blockchain tech getting bigger. 2023 witnessed the launch of 81 new blockchain networks targeting gaming with a 40% year-over-year growth. EVM sidechains and the L2, L3 solutions are gaining popularity. I think we all expect that too. I mean, as this grows, of course, things are going to pop up, new technologies, new chains. So unless somebody's got anything to add to that.
It is interesting that so many like L2s have like kind of pivoted their strategy to gaming, because I think they just see that the other like the other things that they were focused on before, DeFi and everything, like that's not going to bring in the new users, and gaming has the most potential to really grow the ecosystem.
It has the most like long-term utility, and it's the probably the most clearest utility. I would say that, I've been crypto since like 2021 and like May, and there hasn't really been utility anywhere except for that speculative utility. Obviously, when the bull market comes back, whenever it does, gaming may take a backseat at that point. But if I was to say, like, someone who's been in crypto since like that time, and talk about Web3, I think I could only define Web3 in gaming right now definitively. If you were to ask me to define Web3 as an example in other types of applications, I don't think I could do it. Like, I don't see that.
Yep, I would have to agree with you there. On the next note, they said that 60% of Web3 games rely on direct channels. Mainstream platforms like Epic Games are increasingly embracing Web3 games. Unity and Unreal dominate Web3 PC game development. Again, I don't think there's any surprise there. Now, when it comes to the mainstream platforms embracing Web3, I think Epic is the safest bet right now. Every game that I see launching on Steam ends up getting torn apart by reviews and comments and stuff like that. So I think launching on a platform that doesn't have reviews might be your best bet. just my take.
The funny thing is, like, in Web 2, I mean, reviews are everything for games, right? So, like, here's the thing, right? Like, there are some reviews, I've read some of the reviews, and like some of them are 1-star just because it's an NFT, right?
Yeah.
But other 1-star reviews are fairly legit. Like, they'll compare it to, an existing Web 2 game, which is pretty much like the same game, but they'll say this Web 2 game that came out like 4 or 5 years ago is significantly better, right? And so, we have this problem where the games that we have developed, for the most part, are not original games, right? And because the one thing that's lacking in that report is about, kind of how are the economies broken down, all right? Like, what level is the open economy there or not there, or, with token or without? I think that would have taken a lot more analyst work hours. And I know that Game 7 is really relying on a lot of, really good volunteers. And that's so much more of a deep dive. But take that aspect away, and then you go game to game, mono to mono, right? We're definitely not there yet. Like, I have an original PC game that really doesn't fit in anywhere for any genre because it's completely original, right? And, I was talking to another Woolsdown member, and he was like, wow, like, this is, and he knows gaming. He's like, wow, this doesn't exist in Web 2 either, right? Does it? I'm like, no, it doesn't. He's like, you're like one of the first, or like the one that I can only think of that actually built an original game in Web3 that is just an original game. I said, yeah. He's like, why would you do that? Like,
You're so funny.
I'm happy. It's impressed with, like, you're taking this massive risk already in Web3 and you're just compounding it. And I'm like, I love games. I'm doing this only for the passion of doing games. But because we're only making clones, right? And we're making subpar clones, right? For the most part, these reviews are working against us, when in fact, the only hope for any game is to get great reviews, right? And so, yes, we can hide behind, Epic's lack of, review functionality, right? But that's also like hiding behind, like, let's hide the NFTs until, whatever, figure it out, and it'll be in the, FAQs, right? I don't think it's an approach that has any long-term merit to the mission that we're trying to do, right? So,
long term, I agree with you, but I'm thinking short term here. And the reason I say that is a lot of people will go to Steam, and the first thing they look at is those reviews. And if they see mostly negative, you're probably never even going to get them in the game. At least with Epic,
I know,
you
but
can get them
that's
in the
legit
game.
though. That's what I'm saying though. It's legit. I mean, like, okay, you could be in Thailand and you can see a pretty face, and you could go home with that pretty face and then find out they have a unit, and so that is nothing wrong. But like if you were looking at something on the surface and ended up being something else, or like getting catfished online, I mean, where does that go?
So hang on, we got a comment from Graslo or Gaspode. Sorry, a lot of the bad reviews are very fair. It is cringe to see Web3 bros defend them. So I actually have to kind of push back against that take a little bit. I've looked through a lot of the reviews. Even Phantom Galaxies, which just recently launched, I think it was yesterday, already has mostly negative reviews. So I decided to dive into the reviews. The very first review was comparing it to Anthem. If you're getting compared to a AAA game, I think that's a good thing. But I went on to read the review, and because of day one server issues and crashing, they didn't even leave a review based on gameplay. They based a review on the launch alone and was like, well, the servers are bad. I can't play the game. It's a bad game. Look, there isn't a live service game I've played to this day that does not have day one issues. I fully expect that. I say give them a little time. But to further that point, I looked at Superior a few weeks back, and one of the reviews was, oh, the game is fun, but I went into the Discord and everybody's talking about tokens and crypto, and I don't want to deal with any of that. So they left a negative review, even though they liked the game. Some of these reviews do not have any merit, but the ones that do have weight and are genuinely criticizing the gameplay 100%, like I'm down to listen to those, and I think games should listen to those and find out what they can do to improve. But so many of the reviews have no merit of the actual gameplay.
I would agree with that. But again, at the end of the day, when you have this one YouTuber, which I do really like, Juan.
I heard his name recently, actually.
Yeah, no, he's fucking awesome. I've subscribed to him on 3 different accounts because I have 3 different whichever mobile phone I'm using or PC. And he rips into them. And obviously he has a game developer background. And the one thing though that we don't really get into a deep dive about is why do, North American gamers hate NFTs? And I think it's because they look at it as another cash grab, but another cash grab that's so blatant. I'm from that, gamer generation that, hey, if GTA comes out with a $180 game, fuck, I'm buying it, right? But don't fucking microtransaction you after I buy it for $180. Like, I will buy the Microsoft whatever year it is as a one-off license rather than pay a monthly fee for Microsoft Word, kind of thing like that, right? I'll deal with my 10-year-old, Word version until it doesn't get updated anymore or until I buy a new PC. Just because I hate these fucking microtransaction bullshit stuff, right? And like if it's free to play, great. Yeah, I understand that's the revenue model, right? But this looks like another massive cash grab on a different level, where it's like everywhere you look, token this or, gated that or, need this NFT this. This is not really well explained to normies anyways. And I think, again, this value proposition of what is the 10X in Web3, and that comes from, this open sustainable economy, NFTs that, will have value, and they'll have value because it's a great game. They don't have value. What if the game sucks, or what if the game dies? Are developers really going to honestly develop a whole new game on a failed IP, right? That already has, no way of, generating, funding liquidity or so on and so forth, or a community that's just fucking pissed off because it got rugged, right? And you're like, oh, well, I'll make a game. Well, like, fuck you. I'm still upset that I got rugged by these developers, right? So the hate is real. And I think a lot of the hate isn't just NFTs. It's the fact that we haven't given them a real clear reason other than they're tradable, and people are going to make more money from it. And gamers are not about money. We're the last basin of like hope in our society, where it's like we are playing because we're passionate. We want this community. And the younger generation, who are mostly incels anyways, this is the only way that they can interact with society. And do they want to get like nickel and dime to death as, they're reminded they're incels? No, they want to live in this world where they can have, good social interactions, pay once, and then just stay in the the fantasy that they're living, right? So I mean, I think we have failed as an industry. We're not mature enough yet to really explain what the value proposition is. So I think it's fair all around. I mean, blame is needs to be where we are as creators and developers, and I get a lot of flack too. I get a lot of flack because I guess on the reverse side that I don't shill enough in a speculative way, so therefore my particular game doesn't get as much love. And I've talked to very intelligent analysts and VCs, and they say, we're not interested in your game, not because we don't know you and we don't love you and we don't think you're the coolest motherfucker around. It's because we've never seen these, influencers shill your game. And I'm like, these influencers, they're going to fucking go to jail one day. You know that. It's like, at the point, but that's where we get our information from, and that's where we see the flow is, and that is the flow, that the speculative nature of Web3 gaming, and if you're not in that narrative, then people could also say like, why are you here, right? Well, because I want to build a fucking game.
That blew me away last night. Like I was as dumbfounded as you were on that conversation, and like I wonder if that speculation element for you is like around player reputation. And this kind of stuff. And it's interesting. I'm excited to see how you're going to pivot from that combo last night and see how you do.
Well, I think, I had a conversation with Saint, who I deeply, deeply respect. And I think, he's a lot more pragmatic, and also he's younger in the sense that he's more native to the space. But, we are of the same mind. We are brothers from another mother, except that he's the younger, more intelligent and more depth kind of moving guy, and I'm the older brother who's kind of set in my ways. But the DNA for gaming and the passion and something original is there. But he's kind of like, you may be, beating your head against the wall here. Why not go with the flow more as an option, right? Mm-hmm. And he's also said that he loves my approach, but is it the winning approach in Web3? But then again, like, you want to have this, speculative narrative and go with the flow, then of course we're going to ostracize Web2 gamers, right? Because, think about this. Before Web3 or crypto came along, like, how many of us were really financialized to secondary markets in general? Not many of us, right? Unless you have that kind of background in it, which is not a great thing, and it's wonderful to be introduced to secondary markets and the financial layer of things, right? But when it's purely speculative, right, and everything is about a speculative narrative, is that a good thing for game development? In Web3 it is. I'm kind of on the fence about it.
So we got a couple of comments real quick. So Gaspo said mostly incels should be the name of this episode. So thanks, Sinjin. Rod said, you either belong to the Friends Club or you don't. Crypto bros have fear of backlash, and a lot of them have financial stakes and or professional interests in the projects that they support. Plus this freaking optimism bias that we live in Wonderland and Web3 is perfect. Very few have balls to say what needs to be said. I'm going to have to agree with that. I posted something yesterday. I didn't expect it to get the traction that it did, but I was calling out those tier lists because people already put two and two together. So it was stemmed from Orangey, but it was not specific to Orangey's recent tier list. He put things like Wild Card, Last Remains. He put those in like C tier. And I saw Paul had reached out to him, was like, hey, did you even play our game? And the dude's like, no. And I'm like, so you're rating these games you haven't even played. You have a large audience who is going to adopt your opinion because you are an influencer, and you're putting these games down without even playing them. And he's not
Orangey, the recent one, isn't he like put all the games that he hasn't played in like the non-played
Some
ones?
of them. He did rate a few and put them in tiers, even though he has not played them. But most of the ones he did not know anything about, he put in that one tier you're discussing. I appreciate him for that.
Thank you for including me in the tier list, because I'm usually never included in any tier list, and I don't go to the creator and say, why am I not in the tier list?
From my understanding, just so we're clear, because I'm not attacking Orangey, somebody gave him this tier list, so all the icons and everything were already there. So he was just
Thank you to that person.
Yeah, he was just trying to organize based on his available knowledge. Again, I have no ill will against Orangey, but it is something that I noticed is a problem in the space is people are rating games that they have not touched.
99%, yes, I agree.
And it doesn't make any dang sense.
And that goes to the challenge that we have in this market. We've got investors, VCs and just regular investors. We've got speculators and alpha groups that know almost nothing about the games industry, but they want the gamers to come here and bring us all this liquidity. But they're putting pressure on the actual people that know the industry and saying, well, you have to do it our way. You have to make our measurements and get, high on the, you have to be trading high on OpenSea with high volume and high floor price. And the developers are telling them that's not how we're going to attract gamers. This is not, the stuff you want us to do, the influencers you want us to reach out to are not going to bring the mainstream gamers and long-term liquidity that you want. So that's the challenge that we're in. Is we're trying, we all want to grow the industry, but the ones that have been leading it so far want us to keep doing it the way that they've done.
Well, it's funny though, because if I put in an analogy, like Web3 is kind of like either like a really trashy singles bar or Tinder, and the developers are all here for marriage purposes only, and we're like going on these dates to get like, to get married. And so there's a huge disconnect here. But then again, if you're going to put your profile on Tinder and you ain't going to put like your six pack on there and, say nice things about dogs and walks in the park and or whatever. And you're going to put like, I'm looking for a life partner. No one's going to swipe on you no matter how hot you are, So it is the game that is being played. I'm not hating the game. And I think, it was Finn, Phin, who did his own tier list, which was funny as fuck, was like something like my bags S tier.
My future bags.
My bag, and then not my bags, like just fucking wrecked,
I saw that and I was like, dude, at least you were the most honest reviewer ever.
I never did a tier list for that reason. Like every time I try to talk about a game I played, everyone's like, how did you have fun with that? I'm like, fuck off. Like I had fun like playing the game. Like if I want to rate it an A, let me rate it an A, damn it.
Yeah, don't hate on Dub.
God. Nah, dude.
Just so full of love for games.
And that's the thing. I want to see more people like Dub, Yellow Panther, Handtop, like people actually out there playing these games, giving opinions, see more traction. Instead, and again, no slate against Orangey specifically, but to see somebody of his size come into the space and he's over here promoting, like he put Dookie Dash as an S tier. He put Dookie Dash as an S tier.
He got a lot of money for it's.
I know he got a lot of money from
bags,
it.
Bro.
No, I get it, but still, to see him put that in S tier and Wildcard in C tier blew my mind. He even had Axie. I think Axie was in A tier, and I'm like, did you? That's kind of what got my brain going. Like, did you play these games? So then you scroll the comments, and other people were asking him, "Well, did you play this? Did you play this?" And it's no.
So
and I'm like, then why did you rate them?
Were to do our own tier, which I've been tempted to do just for shits and giggles, right? Or tier like influencers and creators, right?
Actually, hang on, Sinjin. So actually, in the chat, Jorge said, "Let's do a content creator tier list." So do it. I want to see.
No, because then we'd all get blacklisted who are like developers and shit like that. Like, I mean, there are certain content creators who are obnoxious, and maybe that's their persona, or maybe they are super cringe, right? I may, if I come across them, say something because I don't give a fuck, because I'm really in it for the long game, and I'm fully confident in that. Maybe insanely so. But even bigger studios, they will not ostracize any creator other than certain creators who say anti-Semitic, racist things out of their ass because they're a potential channel, right? I understand that, and here's the thing, guys. Like, and this is one point that I completely agree with Saint on, is that there is a game, and this is the game, and this is the arena that we play in. Then why are we playing in this if we are going to hold this situation, like this kind of position? And I think one level is because there's integrity in that, and I think builders are built differently to be building. Sometimes we have to ignore the noise and stuff like that. But on the other side is that, there is this game, and if we want visibility, we have to play this game. And if you play it half-assed, then you end up like Meiji, which is off like 99% of tier lists. Thank you, Orangey, and whoever set that one up. And then that's what ends up happening. And then you have to kind of just accept it. And I accept it. I accept it. Every time I say, fuck you guys, you gunless wanks, I accept my position where it's going to lead me.
So I want to quickly give some kudos to Orangey, though, because even though he hasn't played these games and he rated them, his tier list popped off and everything, he is actually going out of his way now to find some of the games he rated that he hadn't played to play them. I saw him playing Mega Weapon yesterday. He seemed to really enjoy it, and he'll probably update his tier list as he gets exposure to more of these games. It just blew my mind that I see people like Dub and them post, something up, a review or whatever, and basically we're out here supporting him. It's just us. It doesn't really pop off outside of our little bubble. But then somebody like Orangey comes in who is not fully educated. They haven't tried most of the games, and it just goes everywhere. And that's what people are going to see is these big influencers. So they're going to have a much larger impact. And like Grazlo said, VCs and stuff are going to see that. And if they see these games getting thrown at like absolute bottom tiers by these large influencers, that's going to affect their ability to get that funding.
No, absolutely. So, yeah. But Orangey, if you are listening to this, I know Paul and Katie, and they're fantastic. Not just
Paul's
fantastic.
trying to get him in. Paul's trying to get him in already.
Yeah.
I saw that thread, and I was like, go Paul.
It'll happen. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. Don't hate me. I had a hard stop at the top of the hour. I forgot to mention to you at the beginning.
Well, real quick, one last topic. We'll wrap up. Roblox. No big deal, no deal.
No deal. It's going to happen like 5 to 6 years from now.
Big deal, already in the works a long time ago. Like they already are releasing limited scarcity collectibles that are tradable on their marketplace. Like they're taking baby steps with their community towards NFTs and that all of the on-chain activations, and like they openly share their strategies and everything, and developer summits and everything left and right. Like every time I go to one in SF, there's some weird dude from Roblox talking about their metaverse or blockchain or whatever strategy, like every single one I go to.
Well, they mentioned,
I didn't know that.
So they mentioned in the statement, or like, when he was having this conversation, the CEO, he mentioned, so you could take these NFTs to other marketplaces. So I'm just wondering, like, where is this liquidity that they think exists still? I don't know.
Well, I think it's because like Roblox is, the one thing that I, when I was working for, a market leader, the difference is that a market leader can make their own market timing. They can move the market. And I think with Roblox's case, when they decide to do it, they will have enough internal support through their community to make that move and have their own liquidity. And at that point, every single crypto Web3 bro will be jumping up and down and, taking off their pants.
We did it.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm not wearing pants today.
All right. Okay, well, I know that Dub's got a hard stop, so we're going to wrap it up here, folks. Thanks for joining us for another exciting episode of The Block Sauce, but we are now going to come to a close. Before we say farewell, give a huge thank you to Grazlo, Sinjin, and Dub for joining us this week. We couldn't have done it without all our amazing viewers and supporters. Your engagement and passion fuel our drive to bring you the hottest topics and thought-provoking conversations week after week. Remember that the sauce never stops flowing. Stay connected with us on social media. Share your thoughts. Suggest future gaming and Web3 topics that you want us to tackle, because your voice also matters. That's going to be it for today, sauce enthusiasts. Join us next time for another amazing episode of The Block Sauce, where we'll keep the gaming flame alive and the discussion sizzling. Stay saucy and keep gaming in the exciting realm of Web3. Have a good
Love you, Rod.